Good evening, guys. Okay, so let me give a short introduction about me. This is Abhishek. I have more than 8 years of experience working in cloud and DevOps. I started my career working in this cloud and DevOps field, and since then I have been working, and I've been working on the multiple tools like few cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, with all the trending cloud platform, and along with that, and I've been working on the DevOps tools like Git, Docker, Ansible, Terraform, Kubernetes, Jenkins. All these tools I have been working. Okay, and from currently I'm associated with one of the MNC in Bangalore, and from last 4 year I have been providing the training. I have completed multiple training in multiple organization like Capgemini, Cognizant, EPAM, and even recently I completed a training in the Chitkara University as well. So that's all about me. Okay, so I will not eh, brag about that. That's fine. So let's discuss about the what's the agenda. So before that, let me share my screen, and please confirm whether you all are able to see my screen.
Now visible, Abhishek.
Okay, fine. Okay, so the agenda is I'll be discussing what all the things means, what all the topics I will be covering as a part of the this AWS course. Okay, so let's discuss what all the things I'll be covering. So this will be a complete AWS Solution Architect Associate Training course, and as you know that AWS is a cloud provider. So we'll discuss about what exactly the cloud and all this thing after the means I discuss what all the things I'll be covering. Uh, but before that, AWS is one of the cloud provider. Like we have many we have AWS, Azure, GCP, and like few like IBM Cloud, then Oracle Cloud. There are many company who are providing the cloud computing services. Okay, now how the cloud computing started? AWS is the company who actually brought this technology, this cloud computing technology to the world. Okay. Before that, there was nothing like cloud computing. So I'll go deeper on the cloud computing when I'll discuss about it. But though the AWS is the company who actually started this cloud computing service. So that's the reason AWS right now AWS has the highest market share in the around the world. Okay. Apart from this AWS, we have few more. But if you'll compare with the others with the AWS has highest market share. Then you will find the Azure, then GCP. Okay. Now let's talk about what I will start with. So first thing is that I will discuss exactly what exactly the cloud computing, and before cloud computing, what was the legacy approach. Like in cloud computing, it started with the virtual machines. Okay, so how the we were using the virtual machine to deploy our application to means to build the data center means infrastructure of our application. Infrastructure in the sense, suppose you have application, you if you have the application, it's of no use. You have to deploy it to some server, right? Until unless you deploy that application to server, then that application will not be accessible by the end users. Suppose you want your application to be accessible by the users in the who are connected with the internet. So how can I do that? In order to do so, you have to deploy that application to one of the server, right? So how we were getting the server and what all the legacy approach we were following, so we'll discuss about that. Once we are done with this legacy approach, we'll try to understand how the cloud computing is resolving the problems which was there in the legacy approach. And just a minute, somebody joined, I guess. Okay. Okay, so once we understand what all the differences between the legacy approach and the cloud computing, how the cloud computing is resolving the problem which was there in the legacy approach. Then we'll go ahead and discuss about the what is the benefit of cloud computing and what is the models of cloud computing. Models like what, like infrastructure as a service. I hope you would have heard about these terms. Right now it will be a jargon for you, but that's fine, I will explain clearly all this thing. Okay. IaaS, like IaaS means infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So this, what all this thing, and how can we implement this thing in the cloud computing, how cloud computing providing this type of services, we'll discuss about that. Then we'll discuss something about the like what is the AWS and how AWS is providing the cloud computing. Guys, remember when the cloud computing started, when AWS provided this type of service, they started with the only the virtual machine services. Okay, but nowadays cloud computing is not only the virtual machine. Cloud computing is into the multiple services like cloud computing in artificial intelligence, cloud computing in blockchain, cloud computing in like IoT. So there are many services cloud computing offering. So we'll discuss about what all the services AWS is offering and how AWS is so aggressive developing those services. So we'll discuss all about these services, and I will give you a overview of AWS, how to create AWS account, how to means how to access the AWS console. So AWS has a console. Once you log into the console, you will see a lot of things. So I'll give you overview, so so that it will be helpful for you to use the AWS portal easily. Okay, so we'll discuss all this thing in the introduction part, and once it is done, then we'll start with the AWS services. So we'll be discussing all the infrastructure related service over here. Infrastructure means virtual machines, then the load balancing services, and we have like SMS services, email services, then we have auto scaling services, storage services. So all the infrastructure related services we will be discussing. But apart from that, AWS has multiple services, so those things we'll not discuss, because our goal is to become a cloud engineer in the infrastructure field. You will be becoming a cloud engineer and cloud and DevOps engineer. So you need to learn the infrastructure side of the AWS. But apart from the infrastructure, we have multiple, like as I said, we have blockchain, we have data engineer, we have the IoT device services. So there are many. So these services is not required for us. Okay. So I will start with the very first service, which is the most popular service in AWS, that is the EC2. What is the EC2? EC2 is actually a virtual machine. We'll see how can we create EC2 instances on the AWS, and how to manage it, how to take the backup, how to resize it, how to connect the storage system. So we'll discuss all about the EC2 instances. Okay. Once the EC2 instance is done, we'll discuss about the one of the storage system available in AWS, that is the EBS, Elastic Block Store. And in here we'll discuss about what is the type of EBS volumes available, and what is the purpose of those type of volume. There are many types of available, in which scenario you will use which type of storage. We'll discuss all this thing, and even we'll discuss how can we take the snapshot means how can we take the backup of your storage system, how to restore, how to manage the backups. So all this thing we'll discuss in the EBS. So I'll be discussing everything about the elastic block storage. Guys, remember, this is not only the storage system we have in AWS. We have many storage system. We'll discuss one by one. Okay. Once EBS is done, we'll discuss about the networking concept. Networking concept means like how to create a virtual private cloud. Okay. Well, what is virtual private cloud? It is actually your own data center on the AWS cloud. Okay. So we'll discuss all about the VPC and what is the private subnet, what is the public subnet, and we'll discuss about the how to calculate the CIDR block. There is a mathematical calculation related to the CIDR block. We'll discuss the CIDR block and how to create VPC, how to connect the IP addresses. So all the networking concept we'll be discussing in this part, networking concept. Okay. Then once it is done, next we'll discuss about the one of the another storage, that is the storage gateway and data sync. And in here we'll try to understand how can we change our storage system, how can we sync. Suppose we are using one type of storage, you want to upgrade to another type of storage. You feel that whichever the storage you are using, that is not filling the purpose, means whatever you are looking for, it is not able to deliver that one. You want to upgrade, you want to change your storage. How can you change it? How can you sync your data from this type of storage to another storage? Your data will be copied. So all this thing we'll be discussing over here. Then we have one of the advanced storage system, that is the EFS and FSX. Okay, so EFS is for the Linux system and FSX is for the Windows system. We'll discuss about that, how EFS is resolving the problems which was there in the EBS type of storage, and how EFS means what all the benefits it's providing, how to create it, how to connect it. So we'll be discussing all this thing, EFS and FSS devices. Okay. Once this type of storage is done, we'll go ahead and discuss about the auto scaling concept. So this is one of the most important service in AWS. Now, what is it? Why it is important? Let's discuss. Suppose you have deployed your application. Let's think about the Amazon website. Okay, your Amazon website is running. Okay, now every day in Amazon, 1 lakh user accessing. It's not true, there will be many, but suppose 1 lakh users are accessing Amazon website, and for Amazon website they have actually deployed those that website on the 5 server. Now 5 server is enough to handle the 1 lakh request. Now we have 5 server, and that is enough to handle the 1 lakh request every day where is coming to the Amazon website. Okay, but during the sale time, as you know that in sale time, that 1 lakh will become the 1 million user, because everybody will be trying to buying the product. So the 5 server were there, that will not be enough to handle the 1 million requests, because 5 server we created just to manage the daily request which we are getting, that is 1 lakh request. But whatever the 1 million request, during the sale time there will be a sudden increase of load, so that 5 server will not be able to handle that 1 million requests. So using the auto scaling, we'll see that how can we scale up our application automatically. So you don't need to do that, you simply need to do configuration only once, and whenever the traffic will increase, automatically your application will be scale up. Instead of 5 server, now suppose 10 server will be created, or 50 server will be created to handle the increasing load. And when the load will go down, automatically those extra server which got created, it will be terminated. And we'll see how can we configure the auto scaling to scale up and scale down our application automatically. Guys, the example I gave you, this the same thing happened with the Flipkart application. During the starting days, they when they introduced the first big billion sale first time, there was no they had not implemented the auto scaling concept over there. Okay, they were not thinking that they will get this much of request. So I hope you remember. So for whole day their application was down during the big billion sale when they first introduced. So we'll see that using the auto scaling, how can we resolve this type of problem, how can we upscale our application and downscale our application. Okay, then we'll discuss then about the security services. IAM is one of the security services. Now what exactly the IAM service? Identity and access management system. In here, what we'll do, suppose you have a AWS console. Suppose you are working in an organization and organization has AWS account. In the organization, there will be multiple people will be working with some different job role. Suppose one person is working as an admin, another person working as a support engineer, another is working as a developer. So every person, though they have different job roles, they will do some different kind of task. Even if they need to log into AWS console, they will do different tasks. Whatever developer is doing, admin person will not do that. What is the support person is doing, that developer will not do that. So that is the reason it is very important that in AWS console we create the user and give appropriate access to them. We cannot give everybody the admin access. If we'll give, if somebody knowingly or unknowingly, if he do something, it may create a lot of problem for the whole organization. Your application may down. So that's the reason we have to give the proper permission to every user. Suppose a developer wants some such accesses, so we have to give only those access, not extra accesses. Okay, so all those things we'll discuss in the IAM console, means IAM service. So how can we create user, how to create the access, how to manage. So there are a lot of things related to the IAM. We'll discuss everything about it. Okay, once this is done, we'll discuss one of the another security services, that is the KMS, key management system. What is this? Now suppose you are using AWS console. Now when you will use AWS console, you will create your whole infrastructure and you will store your data over there. Now you need to make sure your data is secure over there in the AWS. So how can you make sure? The only way is that if you can encrypt your data and store it, right? So we'll see how can we create a KMS key and how to encrypt our data and store in AWS console. Okay, so that nobody, even if AWS wants, they cannot read your data. Your data will be secure. So we'll discuss all these things, how to create key, how to associate, means how to encrypt the data using the key. So we'll discuss using in the KMS service. Once this is done, we'll discuss about the databases. Now AWS provides a lot of a variety of data like RDS. In RDS we have Oracle data, MySQL, MariaDB, Amazon Aurora. There are various type of SQL based database services AWS offering. So we'll discuss all the SQL based database, and along with that we'll even discuss about the what is the database AWS offering for the data warehousing, and what is the concept of warehousing, that using the Redshift, how can we maintain the data warehouse. We'll discuss about it, and even we'll discuss about the NoSQL type database. Now know what is a NoSQL type database. NoSQL type database is a database where you cannot run the SQL queries and all your data will be stored as a key value pair format. So we'll discuss, means how can you store data, how to create the database. That is basically the DynamoDB. How can you create a database, how to store data, and how to retrieve data. We'll discuss about it. Guys, remember this DynamoDB. I hope you heard about the MongoDB. MongoDB is also a NoSQL type database. But AWS offer similar kind of database. Its name is DynamoDB. And if we'll see, go to the Azure, there is another database. They call it a Cosmos DB. Okay, so every cloud platform they provides the same service with a different name. Okay, so we'll discuss about the DynamoDB, how can you store data, how to manage data, and along with that, we'll discuss how can you make your database highly available. Highly available means in case of any failure, your database should be available. And we'll discuss all those things, how to take the backup, how to restore it, all the things related to the database. We'll discuss it as a part of this database services. Once all this thing is done, we'll discuss about the Route 53, which is a domain system. Okay, what is a domain system? We'll see. Suppose you have deployed your application on AWS. Now your application should be accessible by the end users. How can they access? You cannot give them, you cannot share them a IP address and you tell them, okay, this is my IP address. If you want to access my application, access with this IP address. You cannot give that. You have to give them a domain name. Domain name means, suppose I want to access the Google search engine. I will go and I will type the www.google.com, then only I'll be able to access the Google application. Similarly, we'll see how can we register your own domain, how you can map your domain. Anything else?
No, sir, sorry.
Oh, okay, that's right. So we'll see how can we register our domain and how can we map our application with that domain name, so that the end user, whenever they will put your domain name, they will be able to access your application. And what is the type, means how can you configure? There are various things available here, like what is the hosted zone, how can you check the health status, how can, in case of any failure, suppose you have deployed your application in multiple location, like in US and in India also. Suppose your Indian server are down. So whenever the Indian servers are down, how you can redirect your application to the US server. So we'll discuss everything about it in the Route 53 services. Once this is done, we will be discussing about the S3. Now S3 is also a storage system, but this is a object-based storage system. Okay, so we'll discuss what all the types of S3 AWS providing, S3 storage it is providing, what all the things we can do in S3, and even we'll see how to host your static website on S3, and how can you take the backup of your data, how to restore it. So all the things we'll discuss about the S3. Guys, remember S3 is a similar to the Google Drive we have. Like we have a Google Drive, we can store our files and videos, right? Similarly, S3 is a object-based storage device. So, but if we'll compare with the object storage device with the Google Drive, and we have many, right, similar kind of storage cloud storage device, S3 has lot of features which you won't find in any other object storage device. So we'll discuss what all the services AWS providing in S3, what all the benefits you will get if you use S3 apart from the other object storage device. Just a minute. 1 minute. Sorry. Yeah, so all this thing we'll be discussing. Apart from that, we'll even discuss about the CloudFront as well. Now, using CloudFront, what exactly the CloudFront, what is the edge location, what is the content delivery network, how, suppose you are deploying your application in India and your users are in all around the world. So in that case, whoever is accessing your application in India, they will be able to access your application with very fast. There won't be any latency. But whoever is accessing from outside India, like US, Europe, or any other location, they will face a lot of latency, means slowness they will face. We'll see how, using the CloudFront, how can we reduce that latency, how they can access your application without any slowness. So we'll discuss in the CloudFront, and that time we'll discuss what is the content delivery network, what is the edge location, all this thing. Okay, and once this is done, we'll be discussing about the monitoring services. We have multiple types of monitoring services in AWS, and some simple services like email services, notification services, SQS. Now, what is the importance of this? Important is, like, whenever, suppose your application is running on AWS, but whenever there is some issue, like your server fails or anything happens, you should be notified. We'll see that how you are using this notification services, how can we get the messages. Suppose your server is down, you will get the notification that your server is down, or anything is happening. We'll see how can we configure the notification services, and how can we get the notification in case of any failure. Then one last thing is actually the Boto Lambda. Now, what is the Lambda? Lambda is one of the serverless service offered by AWS, and in this we'll actually discuss about how can you configure the Lambda function, and after configuring the Lambda function, how can you access the means suppose your application is running. Okay, let's give an example over here. Suppose your application is running on the servers. Okay, and it is keep on storing the data. So what will happen? Suppose one of the server will fail. Okay, in that case, what you want, the server fails means so your data is full, or anything is happening, because of that your CPU utilization and memory utilization is high. In that case, what will happen? Using the Lambda function, we'll see how can you clear those like those storages. Your whenever the storage will full, we'll see that using the CloudWatch, we'll be configuring the one notification, and when the notification will trigger, it will trigger a Lambda function, and we'll see how can we write a Python code over there, and Python code will automatically trigger and it will do whatever you want. Like you want to remove the means reduce the storage size, it will take the backup of that storage and it will reduce the size. Otherwise, you want to increase the size of the storage, automatically the Lambda function will trigger and it will actually do whatever you want to do. So all this thing we'll be discussing as a part of this AWS course. Okay, so that's all about the infrastructure services we have in AWS. Guys, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll discuss what exactly the cloud computing. Guys, don't worry. You can. Yes.
Abhishek, one question.
Yes. Please.
Yeah, AWS, is it similar to networking or different?
No. See, AWS is not similar to networking. AWS provides networking services. Okay, AWS has it's providing many services. AWS into cloud computing, AWS into blockchain, AWS into networking services. There are many services AWS is providing. Okay, networking is a part of it.
Okay. And do you need any to learn any Linux part in this AWS course?
Linux, okay. Linux is required in throughout your cloud and DevOps career. Okay, so I would suggest please learn the advanced concept of Linux, but whatever required in AWS side, that I will teach you. From AWS perspective, I will teach you whatever required. But if you want to grow in your career like AWS and DevOps field, you have to be proficient in Linux. Okay, so that's the reason I would suggest you learn slowly. See, there is no hurry actually. You start learning it day by day, you will improve. It's not, you don't need to be aggressive to learn the Linux. Slowly means whenever you are getting 10-15 minutes to learn something. Okay, so that is how you will see that within a span of 3-4 months, you will become the proficient in Linux. But from AWS perspective, what is the required from Linux side, that I will be teaching you.
Means basic things.
The basics
Right.
I will teach you. What is required in AWS, I will teach you. But frankly speaking,
But in
you have to be proficient.
syllabus, we have not mentioned this Linux part.
Because see, I told you I will not be teaching you the specific Linux, because Linux is a very vast thing. It is a totally different course. But from AWS side, what is the Linux things is required, I will be teaching you. Don't worry for anything. So that's the reason there is no prerequisite for this course. Anything is required, that I will teach you. But
For as per your institute syllabus and your syllabus is very difficult.
it's not
Different.
difficult. See, I have
Different.
yes, I have certain this syllabus. In the institute syllabus, all the services details it is mentioned. So I just means I have mentioned what all the services I'll be covering, but everything it is mentioned in the institute syllabus. Everything is available over here, because a few services will be mentioned. This is the part of, like, while learning EC2, I'll be discussing storage system. Without discussing the storage system, you cannot learn the EC2 instance. So everything is available. There is no difference. I have not mentioned the detailed syllabus, just the services I have mentioned are some important things for the same syllabus.
Hello.
Yes.
Is it required any hardcore programming skills because I'm very weak in that?
No. In AWS, there is no programming knowledge required. Only thing is that I will tell you just a minute. The last part I showed you, right? This Lambda. In Lambda, while configuring
Yes, it
Lambda,
includes Python.
yeah, it's not only Python. Just a minute. Sorry, I got cold. In Lambda, actually, whenever you will configure Lambda function, Lambda you will have to write a code. Suppose you want to take the backup, you will be writing a specific code which will be taking backup. So there actually the some little bit of programming knowledge is required, but it is fine. If you know Python, or you know like .NET, Java, or any language, that is fine. Lambda supports all these languages, but Python is the most popular language because it's very easy and easy to write, easy to learn. So that's the reason most of the case you will find the Python language. Don't worry, Python is very easy, and this Python, the Lambda Python, means whatever you will write, it is a script. It is not like your hardcore developer things. Okay, you just need to spend like 10 days. That is maximum, means enough to learn the Boto 3 things, means the things required for the Lambda.
Okay, see, sir, like I want to prepare all this for interview purpose. I want to ready to go for job.
Mhm.
So how much time it will take to learn about all the aspects of the cloud computing?
Okay, so for this AWS, it will take 1.5 to 2 months. Okay.
For interview, like for beginner, like I am a beginner.
Yes.
I haven't done
Don't
any
worry. See,
in IT field. I haven't done any programming language even. So that's why I'm worried about that. Like, how can I start about this? So that's why I'm asking you.
hello. Sorry. You don't worry. You are a fresher. Leave it to me.
Yes, I am fresher.
No. Don't worry for anything. You are a fresher
Whole,
or you are
whole
experienced.
syllabus giving
This
me
is
headache, to be
no.
honest.
See.
By yes,
Yeah. Okay. You finish it out. Yeah.
yeah, you can speak.
Oh, okay. So what I'm telling, don't worry for anything. There is no prerequisite of the course. Leave it to me. I know how to make you understand. Okay, the things. So this is not a very tough actually. It's very easy. Only thing required the practice from your side. Whatever the things I will teach you, it's there is no theory part. Everything will be on the practical basis. So
Yes.
on every class I'll be logging into the AWS console. I will I will tell you the little bit theory about it, means what exactly the services, what all the things you can do with these services. Apart from that, everything will be the practical manner. So don't worry for anything. I will teach you bit by bit. L- Don't worry for, means you are a fresher, you will not get it. To make you understand, leave it to me. Only thing I require from you is your practice. Practice. So whatever the things I will do, practice for 2 to 3 times. Okay,
Okay.
that is enough. You can crack the any interview.
So, for after finishing this whole thing, is there any extracurricular activities for like means for the preparation of job related interviews and scenarios? Like, is there any special program assigned in this 2 months or 3 months
Uh,
planning of course?
yes. Okay. So was during the class. So whatever I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you, it will be totally practical based. So you just
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to practice, and once you practice, you will get what all the means whatever the means. I during the throughout the course, I will be telling you in this service what all the question you will get like in the interviews. Okay, so that you can practice throughout the course. And apart from that, at the end of the course, I will tell you how to prepare your CV.
Mhm.
After the course also,
Mhm.
suppose you are going for interview and you get some question. See, it is impossible to prepare every question. It's depend on the interviewer. He can ask anything. Suppose
Yeah, correct, correct, correct.
if you are getting some new question, that's fine.
Mhm.
Just note it down. Come back. Ask me. I'll help you on that. You can ping me on the WhatsApp group. They will create a
Yeah.
WhatsApp group. You can ping me. I'll help you on that. But
Okay,
you see
okay,
that
sure.
means the very few interview you will not be able to crack because of few reason like see, first thing is that whenever you will go for interview, you will feel nervous very first time. Okay,
Okay.
after 2 3 interview you will forget those fearness and nervousness. There won't be any nervousness. And remember, every interview you go, you try to answer all the question. Even if some question you are not able to answer, remember, and just after interview, just note it down and ask me. I'll help you on that. Slowly, you will see that after means attending 5 6 interview, you will become the pro. Means you can attend any interview and you can clear the interview. Don't worry for anything.
Yeah, what are the opportunities or in which domain after finishing this? Could you please elaborate this some
Yeah, sure.
opportunities?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
See, in cloud computing, if you learn only the cloud, then you can become a cloud engineer. Okay, so cloud engineer means you will be handling the infrastructure side. You will suppose you are a cloud engineer, you will be working on AWS or Azure or GCP. Okay, any of the cloud you
Okay.
are working. So you will manage the whole infrastructure. But if you learn if you are if they are hiring you as a cloud and DevOps engineer, in that case,
Mm-hmm.
it actually depends. Your roles and responsibility will be much more than the cloud engineer. What you will do in the DevOps engineer, basically, suppose a developer is developing their application. Okay, once it is developed, as a DevOps engineer, if you are in DevOps also, there are various job roles. It depends on the company. Suppose your your company hired you and they will put you on the DevOps engineer, and it is a developer type role. So what you will do, you will, after developing the application, you will basically prepare the infrastructure. Means you will develop the infrastructure and you will automate the whole building and deployment process. Basically, the code developer will develop that cannot be deployed on the server directly. You have to create a binary file, and once it is created, you will test the application, you will deploy the application. In order to do so, you will be implementing a lot of means few DevOps tools we available in the market. You will be using, and using that you will automate the whole process of building and deploying the application, so that you will do it once, and whenever the developer will develop the application, automatically the application will be built and it will be deployed to the server. So you don't need to do on that. So this automation you will be handling as a DevOps engineer.
Okay.
And
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek.
Is there
I
any certifications that I have to done about this? Like when you have to become a DBA, you have to like pass the 2 3 exams. So
Oh,
is he required in this field?
see, a certification is required, but right now as a fresher you don't do any certification related to cloud and DevOps. Okay, you can do, because
Okay,
see,
okay.
you have to pay for it. It's, suppose you will do the, just a minute. Sorry for the inconvenience. I got cold, so I'm coughing. Okay.
It's okay.
So what I was talking. So at the fresher, you don't do any certification. They will not ask you any certification things. Okay, in the interview. What you can do, once you join the company will sponsor you to do the certificate. They encourage every employee to do the certification. That time, whichever the certification you want to do, you can do. I will tell you one of the certification, like this AWS, the AWS has multiple certifications: solution architect, data engineer, multiple certification. For every certification, price varies. Sometimes it will 15,000, 20,000, so like that. So if you do, means how many certification you can do with your money. So that's the reason. Don't do any certification from don't pay from your pocket. It is better. Everybody does that. Join some company and they will sponsor you. They will give you a voucher. You can do that certification free of cost. The certification will be on your name. There is nothing to company will sponsor you. You can do the certification.
Okay, sir.
Abhishek, I have a question which
Yeah.
is like it is a bit out of context,
That's
but just uh, yeah, just as an FYI, like what would be like an average salary for a cloud engineer like in the market currently?
Yeah. See, it depends on the how much experience you have. Okay. Suppose you are a fresher. You know that for fresher, like not only I'm not talking about the fresher in cloud engineer. Uh, Let me be frank with you. Suppose you have some experience. You said you are working in a support field, right?
Yeah, application support.
Yeah. See, whenever you will switch the company, if will so just in your CV mention that whichever the organization you are working, you just gain the knowledge and mention whichever the organization you are working in the cloud and DevOps. Don't tell that you are in the support.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So you mention everything in the cloud and DevOps you are working, cloud only, because right now you don't know DevOps. So after you mention that, you go for the interviews. You are suppose you are joining fresher, it will be 3.5, 3.7. Okay, but if you are experienced, there is no limit in the salary. I have seen 4 5 year experience people are getting 20 lakh package.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't worry, if you are getting a good company, then there is no limit for the salary.
So, like what you said, no, not to show like to show cloud experience only. Like that, I can show 7 years of cloud experience. So
Yeah.
I am currently with TCS. So
So how many
seven.
company you changed so far?
This would be my fourth organization, but
What
before
are the,
that, I was in. I was not in IT field. I
no,
joined. Yeah.
but in TCS you joined as a fresher, right?
No, not as a fresher. Prior to that, I already had 4 5 years of experience, but not in IT.
That's fine. In TCS, how many years of experience you are showing?
Seven.
7 showing, right? See,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. If you'll show the 7 year of experience in cloud only, it is not means in within 7 year people actually learn the DevOps as well. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. If you
Okay.
want to learn the DevOps, then absolutely fine. You show 7 years of experience. But if you are not, you are showing only the cloud, then don't show 7 year. Just show from that you are working like 3 4 year cloud experience. Total overall
Okay.
experience will be 7 years, 7 to 8 year, and 3 4 year is cloud experience. You can show.
Okay. Okay.
If you are showing the DevOps, then show more. And if you'll show more, like at least 5 years of cloud and DevOps experience, you will show. You can get 30 lakh fixed package.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I have enrolled for DevOps only.
Okay,
I got this link.
okay, fine.
Okay. Yeah.
But one more thing I will suggest. You are learning, just put your effort and practice how much you can. See, you will do the course for like 3 month or 4 month. Within 4 to 5 month you will learn it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Within that time, how much time you are getting, put it. You learn very well. Okay, then you will not, you will not feel that the salary is limit. Means how much you will
Yeah.
ask in the market. If you have the knowledge, they will offer you.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry for anything. You first learn the things.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
learn properly, it will take 6 months maximum.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, what about certifications and notes and all
See,
questions, exam questions?
yes, let me tell you. For right now, certification is not required. This will be a solution architect certification course. But don't do certification. Once you join the company, you can do that. But for the notes, I have all the notes in my GitHub account. From there, you will get it. All these notes is available in my system as well. Let me show you.
Actually, I'm already working, so I need a certificate.
Oh, okay. That's fine. You can do it.
Yeah.
All the documents are available here. Yeah, these are the document I'll provide you. I'll push it to the GitHub again. So every topic is
Okay,
mentioned
okay.
over here.
Yeah.
So what all the things I'll be discussing, it will be, you will get the notes on that. I'll push it to GitHub, so it will be easier for everyone to access.
हेलो।
Yes, yeah.
हाँ सर, मुझे एक चीज पूछनी थी, जैसे कि हमारा कोर्स एक डेढ़ या 2 महीने में
2 महीने में हो जाएगा।
2 महीने में खत्म हो जाएगा।
हम्म
2 महीने में इतने सारे डेटा आप सिखाओगे,
हम्म।
तो इसमें ओवरव्यू ज्यादा होगा कि इन डेप्थ ज्यादा होगा? और दूसरा सवाल, अगर इन डेप्थ है तो उस लेवल के प्रोजेक्ट्स होंगे क्या? क्योंकि जब अब एक्सपीरियंस एज अ पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू बोली जाएगी, 2 साल का एक्सपीरियंस, 3 साल का एक्सपीरियंस क्लाउड में है, तो ऑब्वियसली एज अ प्रैक्टिकल ओरिएंटेशन तो होना ही चाहिए, साथ ही साथ उसकी डेप्थ भी ज्यादा होनी चाहिए। जनरल जनरल प्रोजेक्ट्स होंगे या स्पेशलाइज्ड प्रोजेक्ट होंगे? क्योंकि आपने ये भी बोला था कि AWS जैसे कि बहुत सारी जगह पे, अलग अलग जगह पे यूज हो सकता है, तो हमें कौन सा साइड का प्रोजेक्ट आप सिखाओगे?
ठीक है। तो पहला क्वेश्चन है कि जो इन डेप्थ रहेगा या थियरी रिलेटेड रहेगा। मैं ऑलरेडी बता चुका हूँ कि क्या है ना, आई टोल्ड यू दैट द कोर्स विल बी मींस व्हेनेवर आई विल डिस्कस अबाउट एनी टॉपिक, आई विल गिव यू ओवरव्यू अबाउट द टॉपिक, व्हाट exactly the topic, what all the things you can do with that service. Once that is done, so everything will be practical manner. Whatever I will do, please replicate on your account, means you will also create a AWS account for your practice, right? So whatever I'll do, you please replicate the things. Everything will be practical manner. There won't be much theory. Only the concept about the topic will be the theory. Apart from that, everything will be practical manner. Okay, you practice the same thing, and same thing you will get in the interviews, the questions. Okay. Apart from that, the second question was, what was that second question? Sorry, I forgot that.
अगर वो डेप्थ में आप सिखाओगे, तो दूसरा ये सवाल था कि उस रिलेटेड प्रोजेक्ट्स कैसे होंगे? क्योंकि हम जब एक्सपीरियंस देंगे तो उस लेवल के प्रोजेक्ट्स कैसे डिफाइन करेंगे कि जनरलाइज प्रोजेक्ट होंगे?
ठीक है। तो कि मैं क्या बोल रहा था कि देखिए, AWS पे ना कोई स्पेसिफिक प्रोजेक्ट नहीं है। क्या होता है ना, जैसे कि हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आप जाएंगे ना, क्या होगा, जैसे मैं ड्रॉ डाउन करता, एक ओवरव्यू देता हूं। जैसे आपका कंपनी में गए और आपका कंपनी बोला कि मेरे पास ये वेबसाइट है, एक वेबसाइट है, और आपको ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाना है इसको डिप्लॉय करने के लिए। और क्या होगा ना, जैसे डिप्लॉय करने के लिए देगा ना, आपको सिर्फ ऐसे नहीं बोला कि ये एप्लीकेशन है और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना दो, डिप्लॉय कर दो। क्या होता है ना, एक आर्किटेक्ट रहता है। ओके, आर्किटेक्ट का काम क्या होता है ना, जैसे आपका घर है ना, आप जैसे घर बनाने जाते हैं, तो घर बनाने से पहले आप एक आर्किटेक्ट या किसी से भी आप एक प्लान लेते हैं। प्लान लेते हैं कि यहाँ पे रहेगा आपका बेडरूम, रहेगा यहाँ पे वॉशरूम रहेगा, ऐसे ऐसे कुछ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाता है ना, डायग्राम बनाता है।
यस सर।
बिल्कुल वैसे ही आपको एक डॉक्यूमेंटेशन मिलेगा। अगर आप प्योरली डेवलपमेंट में जाते हैं और आप खुद डेवलप करेंगे पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, नहीं तो मोस्ट ऑफ द केस आपको वो नहीं मिलता है। इंडिया में आप अगर फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग इंडिया में आप जॉब करेंगे तो ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आपको बना बनाया मिलेगा, आप उसी पे काम करेंगे, मॉडिफिकेशन करेंगे। ठीक है, 95% ऑफ द टाइम आप वही करेंगे। आपको अगर कोई ऐसे बहुत अच्छी कंपनी आप चले गए और वहां पे आपको पूरा डेवलपमेंट रोल दिए, मतलब पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आप डेवलप करेंगे, तो बात अलग है। तो अगर डेवलप करेंगे भी तो आपको एक वो आर्किटेक्चर से आपको पूरा डायग्राम मिल जाएगा और वो आर्किटेक्ट में बताया जाएगा कि जैसे कि आपको बोला जाएगा ये एप्लीकेशन डिप्लॉय करने के लिए आपको एक सर्वर क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा और इस सर्वर में कितना कैपेसिटी रहेगा, मतलब कितने कोर सीपीयू रहेगा, कितना आपका रैम रहेगा, कितना स्टोरेज रहेगा, सब कुछ डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन होगा। ठीक है, और आप उस फाइल को देखेंगे, उस हिसाब से आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाते जाएंगे। वो वैसे होता है काम अगर डेवलपमेंट हुआ तो। लेकिन तो ये जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है हर प्रोजेक्ट से डिफर कर जाता है, मतलब हर प्रोजेक्ट एक ही कंपनी में काम करेंगे, मल्टीपल प्रोजेक्ट में अगर किसी को EC2 इंस्टेंस चाहिए, किसी को अलग कुछ चाहिए, तो वो सारा कुछ वहां पे डिफाइन होगा। आप उसी तरह से आप बनाएंगे, या तो मैनुअली बनाएंगे या तो ऑटोमेटेड वे में बनाएंगे। अभी क्या होता है ना, पहले मैनुअली बनाते थे, अब क्या हुआ ना, टेराफॉर्म आ गया, एक टूल है टेराफॉर्म करके। वो टेराफॉर्म क्या है ना, आपको एक कोड लिखना होगा, आपका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का कोड लिखना होगा, और वो कोड जैसे आप रन करेंगे ना, ऑटोमेटिकली आपका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ये बन जाएगा। जिस भी क्लाउड प्लेटफॉर्म में आप काम करेंगे वो बन जाएगा। ठीक है, और रहा, मैं जो आपको प्रोजेक्ट बताऊंगा, मैं एक सिंपल प्रोजेक्ट बताऊंगा जिससे आपको ना ओवरऑल आइडिया हो जाएगा। अगर आपको पास प्योरली डेवलपमेंट काम आता भी है ना, तो आप कैसे अप्रोच करेंगे, वो अप्रोच आपको आना चाहिए, क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हर जगह बदल जाएगा। एक एप्लीकेशन के लिए एक चीज चाहिए, दूसरा एप्लीकेशन में दूसरा चीज चाहिए। एक एप्लीकेशन बोलता है मुझे एक डेटाबेस यहाँ चाहिए, दूसरा एप्लीकेशन बोलता है नहीं नहीं, मैं क्लाउड पे डेटाबेस नहीं रखना चाहता हूँ, मैं कहाँ रखना चाहता हूँ, मैं अपने डेटा सेंटर पे डेटाबेस रखूंगा, बाकी सर्वर ये क्लाउड पे होगा, ये कनेक्ट होगा मेरा डेटाबेस पे, क्योंकि मेरा डेटाबेस मुझे सिक्योर रखना है, मुझे क्लाउड पे नहीं देना है। तो वैसे हर चीज में डिफर कर जाएगा। लेकिन आपको ना वो अप्रोच आना चाहिए कि आपके पास कि पूरा डेवलपमेंट आया तो कैसे अप्रोच करेंगे। ठीक है
सर, फिर ये अप्रोच अपने अपने पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अलग अलग हो जाएगा, पर्सन टू पर्सन वेरी करेगा।
नहीं नहीं,
तो
पर्सन टू पर्सन मैं नहीं बोला,
प्रोजेक्ट टू
ये
प्रोजेक्ट
वैरी
वेरी
करेगा
करेगा।
प्रोजेक्ट टू प्रोजेक्ट। देख इस एप्लीकेशन के लिए ऐसा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए, दूसरा एप्लीकेशन के लिए दूसरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, लेकिन आपको वो अप्रोच आना चाहिए कि अगर कोई भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आए कैसे इंप्लीमेंट करेंगे, वो आना चाहिए, वो मैं आपको बता दूंगा।
अच्छा, मतलब उसी हिसाब से आप वेरियस प्रोजेक्ट्स
आप कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट पकड़ लीजिए, आप इंप्लीमेंट करेंगे सेम वे।
अच्छा, मेथड सेम रहेगी लेकिन अलग अलग वे से रिप्रेजेंट हो जाएगा।
मतलब अलग अलग वे नहीं चेंज होगा। मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि जैसे ये एप्लीकेशन के लिए देखिए, ये एप्लीकेशन के लिए EC2 इंस्टेंस चाहिए, डेटाबेस चाहिए, लोड बैलेंसिंग चाहिए, ऑटो स्केलिंग चाहिए, ये सब चाहिए। कोई दूसरा एप्लीकेशन आता है, वो बोलता है EC2 इंस्टेंस चाहिए, ऑटो स्केलिंग, लोड बैलेंसिंग चाहिए, लेकिन मुझे डेटाबेस नहीं चाहिए, तो आप वो इंप्लीमेंट नहीं करेंगे, वो कनेक्ट नहीं करेंगे। बस
अच्छा।
आपको ये अप्रोच आना चाहिए, आप कैसे क्रिएट करेंगे और बाकी सब कैसे में ये कनेक्शन एस्टेब्लिश करेंगे। और सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि सिक्योर कैसे बनाएंगे।
ओके,
बस इतना।
तो ऐसे प्रैक्टिकल वे से आप जो एग्जांपल्स ऐसे वैसे वेरियस दोगे, तो ऐसे डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टास्क रहेंगे क्या उसके बाद आप टास्क दोगे तो?
अब देखिए, पहले तो हमको ये सर्विसेज जानना पड़ेगा। ये जैसे कि मैं EC2 बनाना चाहता हूँ, EC2 कैसे क्रिएट करेंगे और कैसे मतलब कॉन्फ़िगर करेंगे, कैसे अपग्रेड करेंगे, कैसे अगर डाउनग्रेड करना है तो कैसे करेंगे, ये आपको पहले डिटेल में जानना चाहिए। जैसे ये सीख जाएंगे ना, अगर आप प्रोजेक्ट में गए, प्रोजेक्ट में बोला कि मुझे EC2 इंस्टेंस क्रिएट करके दो, आप वैसे बिल्कुल वैसे ही बनाएंगे। अब EC2 बनने के बाद आपको बोला जाएगा इसी EC2 में एक ऑटो स्केलिंग कनेक्ट करके भी दीजिए, तो आप क्या करेंगे, वो EC2 जो बना है ना, आप उसके साथ ऑटो स्केलिंग ग्रुप भी बनाएंगे। पूरा डिटेल में रहेगा, आप मतलब कैसे कैसे क्रिएट करेंगे, क्या क्या चीज कॉन्फ़िगर करेंगे, वो पूरा डिटेल में रहेगा। ओनली थिंग इज दैट अभी आपको जो क्वेश्चन आ रहा है ना, जब आप प्रैक्टिस करते जाएंगे तो क्या होगा ना, आपका डाउट सारे क्लियर होते जाएगा। अरे मुझे ऐसा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाना है, अच्छा मैं तो ये कर चुका हूं ऑलरेडी, ऐसे करना होगा। लेकिन ये एक चीज मैं बोलना चाहता हूं, आपको अपना इफर्ट देना पड़ेगा। ऐसा नहीं है कि जैसे कि मैं आज पढ़ा दिया, जैसे आपका वीकडेज में क्लास रहा, मतलब मंडे टू फ्राइडे रहा, मंडे मैंने पढ़ा दिया, आप चले गए, आपको मैं बोला कि ये प्रैक्टिस करके एक दो बार एटलीस्ट प्रैक्टिस करके आना। लेकिन आप क्या करते हैं ना, आप अगले दिन आप बोले नहीं आज मन नहीं है, अब कल कर लेंगे। तो जब कल आएंगे ना, आप प्रैक्टिस नहीं करेंगे, मैं दूसरा चीज पढ़ा दूंगा, फिर कल वही होगा, आप बोलेंगे कि नहीं मैं कल कर लूंगा। ऐसे करके आप एंड में सोचेंगे मैं वीकेंड में पूरा करूंगा। लेकिन जब वीकेंड आएगा ना, उस जो सर्विस आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे उसमें से मैं कुछ छोटा छोटा चीज बोला होगा, वो आपको याद नहीं रहेगा। और वो ही सबसे बड़ी चीज है। जैसे आप कॉन्फ़िगर कर दिए, एक छोटा चीज जो आप मिस कर दिए, उससे आपका सर्विस काम नहीं करेगा। तो इसीलिए मैं बोलता हूँ जिस दिन प्रैक्टिस मतलब मैं पढ़ाऊंगा ना, प्लीज उस दिन प्रैक्टिस कर लीजिए। अगर आपको लगता है मैं प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर पाया, आपसे एक दो दिन कुछ लगा नहीं प्रैक्टिस कर पाया, उस दिन क्लास नहीं बढ़ाएंगे, उसी दिन प्रैक्टिस करेंगे वो क्लास में ही। क्योंकि एक दिन छूट गया ना, आपका क्या होगा ना, आपका वो इंटरेस्ट लूज हो जाएगा। अरे नहीं इतना दिन प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया, अब अगले दिन वो क्या बताएगा मुझे समझ में नहीं आएगा, उससे अच्छा मैं छोड़ देता हूँ, मैं रिकॉर्डिंग देखूंगा। उससे आपका ही लॉस हो जाएगा। ठीक है। सो ये रिक्वेस्ट है मेरी तरफ से, मैं आपको बार बार क्लास में भी बोलूंगा, आप बुरा मत समझिए कि अरे ये बंदा स्कूल टीचर की तरह हर दिन बोलता रहता है। लेकिन आपकी अच्छाई के लिए मैं इतने दिन लोगों को पढ़ा चुका हूँ, 1000 से ज्यादा लोगों को पढ़ा चुका हूँ। सब बेनिफिटेड है इसलिए क्योंकि मैं हर दिन बोलता रहता हूँ, अरे नहीं प्रैक्टिस किया अभी बैठ के करो। ठीक है।
Sir, what about cloud based stock?
क्लाउड बिनस्टॉक,
Sorry, elastic based stock.
इलास्टिक बिनस्टॉक, या इलास्टिक बिनस्टॉक एक प्लेटफॉर्म एज ए सर्विस। जब मैं ये डिस्कस करूंगा ना प्लेटफॉर्म एज ए सर्विस क्या क्या है, उसको मैं डिस्कस करूंगा, इलास्टिक बिनस्टॉक कैसे बनाएंगे और अपना एप्लीकेशन कैसे डिप्लॉय करेंगे। मैं बोला ना कि क्या है ना, ये जो सर्विसेज है ना, मैं एक्चुअली पूरा डिटेल में नहीं लिखा हूँ, जो आप रेडिकल साइट से शेयर करते हैं ना वो पूरा डिटेल में है। मैं बस सर्विसेज लिख दिया हूँ, एक सर्विस बताने के लिए कोई दूसरा सर्विस भी बताना पड़ेगा, तो उसमें वो आ जाएगा। तो इसीलिए मैंने नहीं लिखा हूँ पूरे डिटेल में।
Okay.
क्योंकि
Docker and all, sir.
क्योंकि वेरी फर्स्ट क्लास जब मैं डिस्कस करता हूँ ना कि क्या क्या टॉपिक डिस्कस करूंगा, क्योंकि देखिए अभी ये क्लाउड फ्रंट, मैं उसके डिटेल में जाऊंगा ना आपको अभी समझ में नहीं आएगा। तो इसीलिए मैंने तो शॉर्ट फॉर्म में लिख दिया, इतना इतना टॉपिक है मैं ये कवर करूंगा। लेकिन इलास्टिक बिनस्टॉक जितने भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सर्विस है ना वो सब मैं डिस्कस करूंगा।
और सर ये कितने सर्टिफिकेट्स हम कर पाएंगे ये पूरा कंटेंट अगर सीख लिया तो?
कितना मतलब एक सर्टिफिकेट क्लाउड
लाइक अभी जैसे ये जो है क्लाउड सॉल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट एसोसिएट है, बाद में एक सॉल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट डेवलपर और एक सिसऑप्स का भी है ना?
देखिए सोल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट एसोसिएट और डेवलपर में थोड़ा डिफरेंस है, बस थोड़ा सा ही डिफरेंस है। ठीक है। उस पे कुछ एपीआई वीपीआई आ जाता है वो डेवलपर में। आप अगर ये पढ़ लेंगे तो वो थोड़ा सा कंटेंट आप कहीं से भी थोड़ा सा पढ़ लेंगे तो आप वो भी दे सकते हैं। लेकिन देखिए इतना सर्टिफिकेशन करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। ठीक है। एडब्ल्यूएस में एक सर्टिफिकेशन, जैसे आप कोई डेवलपर वाला सर्टिफिकेशन पकड़ ले, नहीं तो सोल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट वाला सर्टिफिकेशन कर लिए, वो बहुत है। ऐसे नहीं कि
Okay.
आपकी मतलब क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग बेसिक वाला सर्टिफिकेशन कर रहे हैं एडब्ल्यूएस के साइड से, और उसके बाद उसके ऊपर वो सिसऑप्स भी कर रहे हैं। देखिए आप सिसऑप्स करेंगे, जो टॉपिक उसमें है सॉल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट वो थोड़ा एडवांस है उसमें वही टॉपिक है, तो 5 सर्टिफिकेशन करने की जरूरत नहीं, एक कर लीजिए बहुत है। उसके बाद डेवऑप्स में कुछ सर्टिफिकेशन है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो कीजिए। क्योंकि फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग देखिए मैं ट्रेनर हूँ, आपको मैं ये बोलना नहीं मतलब ट्रेनर कोई बोलता नहीं, लेकिन ये जो एडब्ल्यूएस सर्टिफिकेशन है ना इसका कोई वैल्यू नहीं है। पता है क्यों? क्योंकि देखिए आपको ना डंप मिलता है। ठीक है। एडब्ल्यूएस नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, कोई भी क्लाउड सर्टिफिकेशन पकड़ लीजिए आप, क्लाउड तो छोड़िए, जावा सर्टिफिकेशन और वो डेटाबेस सर्टिफिकेशन, कोई भी सर्टिफिकेशन पकड़ लीजिए उस पर डंप मिलता है। आप कोई कुछ जानता भी नहीं है ना, वो जाता है वो डंप पड़ता है और सर्टिफिकेशन क्लियर करके आता है 90% पे। ठीक है। ये सबको पता है, लेकिन बस सर्टिफिकेशन एक चाहिए। लेकिन आप अगर सच में सर्टिफिकेशन करना चाहते हैं तो कुछ ऐसा सर्टिफिकेशन दीजिए जिसमें वैल्यू है। जैसे कि मैं आपको बोलता हूँ, क्या है ना, एक सर्टिफिकेशन है जैसे कि कुबरनेटिस। कुबरनेटिस सर्टिफिकेशन आप जाएंगे ना, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है डेवऑप्स करियर में। उस पे क्या होगा ना, आपको पूरा क्लस्टर मिलेगा। जो भी करेंगे प्रैक्टिकली, वो क्वेश्चन आएगा प्रैक्टिकली, वो वहां पे बनाएंगे। वहां पे डंप काम नहीं करेगा आपका, ठीक है। तो ज्यादा वैल्यू वही रखता है, कुबरनेटिस सर्टिफिकेशन। और कुछ सर्टिफिकेशन है वो इसका हसीकॉर्प जैसे टेराफॉर्म सर्टिफिकेशन कीजिए। इन सब का बहुत वैल्यू है। एडब्ल्यू क्लाउड में एक सर्टिफिकेशन कर लीजिए, तो एडब्ल्यूएस में, अज्योर में और जीसीपी में। देखिए जीसीपी का मार्केट इतना नहीं है, आप ज्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटी एडब्ल्यूएस और अज्योर पे मिलेगा। इनमें से कोई एक पढ़ लीजिए, ओके। और एक
तो ये ओके ओके
any other question, guys? Please
yes
clear
sir.
all your doubts.
ये एसोसिएट का सर्टिफिकेट के बाद कुबरनेटिस करने के लिए मतलब कितना टाइम लगेगा? क्या ये वो भी आइडिया आ जाएगा कि ये सर्टिफिकेट में?
देखिए क्या है ना, आपको अगर डिटेल में क्लाउड और डेवऑप्स पढ़ना है ना, आप अगर खुद से टाइम देंगे तो 6 मंथ पे पूरा प्रोफिशिएंट बन जाएंगे क्लाउड एंड डेवऑप्स। उस पे डेवऑप्स के साइड पे आपको रहेगा डॉकर, कुबरनेटिस, एंसिबल, टेराफॉर्म और ये रहता है क्या उसका नाम, जेनकिंस। ये जो टूल है ना, और गिट बेसिक जानना चाहिए, 4-5 दिन मैक्सिमम। उसके बाद सबसे ज्यादा चाहिए डॉकर, कुबरनेटिस, एंसिबल, टेराफॉर्म और जेनकिन। ये जो 5 टूल है ना, आपको बहुत अच्छे से आना चाहिए। अगर ये अच्छे से आ गया ना, आप सोच भी नहीं सकते, आप मुंह मांगे सैलरी आपको कंपनीज ऑफर करेंगे।
ओके ओके
तो 6 मंथ आपको अच्छे से देना पड़ेगा।
एक्चुअली मैं जेनकिंस डॉकर पे काम करता हूँ, सिर्फ एक
अच्छा
कुबरनेटिस का और डिवॉप्स का आइडिया नहीं है।
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, मैं हेल्प कर दूंगा कुबरनेटिस पे, डॉकर कुबरनेटिस पे
यस थैंक यू।
और एंसिबल पे। और जेनकिन तो आपको पता ही है, तो मुझे हेल्प
Yes,
करना है। लेकिन देखिए ये सिलेबस में नहीं है, ठीक है।
यस सर
ठीक है,
आई नो वन।
ये इसमें क्लास में नहीं बताऊंगा। आपको जब जरूरत होगा मैं हेल्प कर दूंगा। मैं हेल्प करूंगा, मतलब आपको बोल दूंगा ये पढ़ लीजिए, आप पढ़ लीजिएगा, वो हो जाएगा। मतलब मैं बताऊंगा सीक्वेंशियली, आपको अभी ये पढ़ लीजिए, फिर आप वो पढ़ के आएंगे, फिर दूसरा चीज मैं बता दूंगा, वो पढ़ लीजिए, फिर उसके बाद स्लोली आपका पूरा पढ़ लेंगे, ठीक है।
यस सर थैंक यू।
Guys, any other question? Please clear all your doubts if you have any. No question? Okay, so guys, if you don't have any questions, so let's wind up the session over here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye bye.